So today we'll be taking a look at a few stories involving The Undertaker responding to Margot Robbie, Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, and more. Let's start things off with this story between The Undertaker and Margot Robbie. This all started over the summer during press runs for a movie. Margot Robbie worked with John Cena during that movie for the first time ever. It was also the first time that Margot Robbie had worked with any WWE superstar at all. Margot Robbie discovered WWE in all the interviews over the summer, talking about how she used to be a fan of John Cena, and now she was working with him in a movie. She also name-dropped The Undertaker as her favorite growing up. Undertaker did respond to that interview clip on Twitter back in July and had this to say: "The Dead Man and Harley Quinn sounds like a hell of a tag team." But it took a couple of months to get a full reaction from The Undertaker. But the reaction finally came during a new interview with Entertainment Tonight. Taker was asked for his reaction to Margot Robbie, name-dropping him as her favorite, and he had this to say: "Obviously, it's extremely flattering. She's one of the hottest actresses out there in terms of what she's putting out in her movies and that whole series. It's always cool to see people from different genres that are fans. Because sometimes you forget that you're also a form of entertainment, and so people from different genres are fans of things too. I would have never placed that one, but I thought it was really cool that she mentioned that." Taker was also asked if Margot Robbie would be a good fit if she actually was a part of WWE. He had this to say in response to that question: "Oh, totally. You can definitely see it. I mean, she would be an awesome character for WWE. She'd hold her own quite well, looks like." Margot Robbie may never become an actual wrestler in WWE for sure, but given how much she talks about WWE, working with John Cena, and giving The Undertaker this high praise, she could definitely be on the list for possible celebrity appearances for WWE. Usually when a massive celebrity mentions WWE, then they go right after them and book them for a special appearance. We saw that with Bad Bunny. He was always making WWE references everywhere he went and always talked about them, until he was finally booked and had a great WrestleMania run. Logan Paul responded to Sami Zayn's tweets earlier in the year, and less than 2 weeks later, he was on SmackDown. Everyone also knows that WWE has been going after Cardi B for about 3 or 4 years now, so they'll get her eventually. But it's possible that Margot Robbie gets added to this list as well. She's one of the biggest overall actors in Hollywood right now, so a special appearance by her would make some headlines for sure. But what are your thoughts on The Undertaker and Margot Robbie's exchange? Becky Lynch vs. Ronda Rousey. It was the match that was supposed to happen at Survivor Series 2018, but never ended up happening. This match and feud went off the tracks only a few weeks before it was set to take place. It was the usual brand invasion moment that used to happen every year for the build-up to Survivor Series. SmackDown invaded Raw, and the invasion was led by Becky Lynch, who at the time was just starting to step into superstardom. Just a year or so before that time, Becky was very often a healthy scratch from SmackDown. She was healthy and fine. They just had no use for her, and she could never make it onto WWE TV. But her entire career took a drastic turn with the summer of 2018, where the man persona was born, and she had all the fans on her side. Becky's hot streak was set to continue with the Survivor Series champion vs. champion match against Ronda Rousey. Everyone has heard this story thousands of times before. Nia Jax accidentally punched Becky Lynch and broke her nose. Therefore, Becky wasn't cleared for that Ronda Rousey singles match. Charlotte Flair would end up taking Becky Lynch's spot in that match, and Becky never got her singles match with Ronda Rousey. All three of those women did main event WrestleMania a few months after that, but still, Becky really wanted that one-on-one match with Ronda Rousey, and it was devastating for her. Becky Lynch recently opened up about that 2018 situation and had this to say during a recent appearance on the Out of Character podcast. "I was pretty devastated. I was also severely concussed. I think that helped with the devastation because really, I knew that if the match wasn't going to happen now, it was going to happen at WrestleMania. I knew pretty quickly that it was a good thing that it had happened. Still, when you're concussed, you're very emotional. So I was really devastated that it wasn't going to happen. Even in the hospital, I was trying to think of ways that I could still have the match at Survivor Series. And they were like, no, you're not wrestling. No, but I can do this. No. So Becky brings up some positives about the whole situation there as well. Yes, the concussion and broken nose cost her the Survivor Series match with Ronda Rousey. But it kept fans hungry for Becky vs. Ronda, and WWE used that hype and momentum to turn it into the WrestleMania 35 main event and included Charlotte as well. So if Ronda vs. Becky happened at Survivor Series in 2018, does the WrestleMania main event still happen that following year? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Becky was also asked about the possibility of Ronda Rousey returning to WWE, and if that singles match could still happen. Becky had this to say, "Yeah, and I do think it will. The fact that I've had a baby and came back so great that she'll probably want to one-up me, and she'll try to come back in 3 months. Then I'll be right there to punch her right in the face. Give her a rock bottom. Out of here in 20 seconds, Ronda." So that's a nice little Ronda Rousey return story and idea there by Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch came right back from her pregnancy and won a title during her first night back in WWE. So maybe Ronda Rousey does want to come back and one-up her and do the exact same thing. Imagine the perfect karma it would be if Becky's opponent is unable to make it, and Becky has to come face-to-face with a shocking return of Ronda Rousey, and Ronda ends up beating her in a couple of seconds. That would be pretty mind-blowing and perfect karma for Becky Lynch. Not to mention that the tables would be completely flipped compared to when these two were last in the ring together. In 2019, Ronda Rousey was the heel champion and Becky Lynch was the babyface underdog in that WrestleMania match. But now, the roles will be reversed. Becky Lynch would be the big heel, and Ronda Rousey would be the big babyface. The complete opposite of what their first match together would have looked like. Ronda was a massive heel last time when she was seen in WWE, but you're talking about nearly 3 years since we've last seen her. That's a massively long time, so the crowds will just go crazy when her music hits, regardless of what she did in 2019. Ronda was originally signed throughout mid-2021, but like Paul Heyman alluded to several months ago, WWE and Ronda could have definitely reached a quiet agreement for an extension behind closed doors, and the public just doesn't know about it. But we'll see if a WWE return is in the future of Ronda Rousey. She just gave birth a few weeks ago, so even if she is returning, it's still several months away for sure. But even if Ronda Rousey returns for just one special match, it should be that singles match with Becky Lynch, because that's one big loose end there that has never been taken care of. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.